Hello again. This is Kara McGrath, and I will be discussing chapters 3 and 5 of Creativity Inc., written by Ed Catmull with Amy Wallace. Let's jump right into chapter 3. This chapter begins with Mr. Catmull identifying the challenges that became the catalysts driving what led to the mission and culture of Pixar. Catmull opens chapter 3 with "There was nothing quite like ignorance combined with a driving need to succeed to force rapid learning." The picture Catmull is painting for us reminds me that perseverance and passion, channeled appropriately, will lead to great things. In 1986, Pixar is born. A team of 44 visionaries were employed by Steve Jobs. They joined forces in an effort to create a company spearheading the digital revolution. And at that time, none of them knew the first thing about the kind of business they were starting. These men didn't have all the answers. They didn't even know all the questions, but they were ambitious and committed to their cause. The pages that follow his opening statement articulate the experiences Catmull encountered, beginning from the time Pixar was a hardware company, propped up financially by Steve Jobs. It then moves through Pixar's collaborative time with Disney during the making of Toy Story and A Bug's Life, which then led to the company going public. The concluding pages of the chapter recall Catmull's lessons learned during this exciting and arduous process. He touches on areas that include management chain of command, organizational tactics, and a commitment to fostering a company culture that enabled Pixar to be profitable and contribute positively to the world. This chapter is filled with a vast amount of information that one will benefit from in virtually any professional setting. And it helps us relate to communicating effectively. The search for understanding can lead to things much greater than oneself, and Ed Catmull understood Pixar's success truly was impacted by the relationships of everyone that had a vested interest in the company and understood its vision. He was intensely aware of being a part of something significant, and he was determined to get the most out of the experience that he could. Catmull quickly learned one of his priorities would be paying attention to how people interact. Ed writes about his concern for the potential challenges he foresaw between Steve Jobs, himself, and others, and he committed to working through those issues the best that he could. Catmull states, "Pixar could not have survived without Steve, but more than once in those years, I wasn't sure if we'd survive with him." He understood the importance of developing a genuine relationship with Steve Jobs built on trust and respect. The ebbs and flows of their relationship are noted throughout this chapter and give us an excellent example that we can apply to our lives, professionally and personally. The rules of communication need to be effective and relevant for an organization. The founders of Pixar are working hard to try to keep these lines open throughout their development of their organization. Pixar's success was dependent upon the collaborative efforts of all parties involved. In the early years, struggles between the creative and production teams revealed a tension and also revealed how important clearly defined rules of engagement needed to be. Catmull made sure that all parties remembered the end product is always the ultimate goal, and learning to communicate effectively would get them there. So how did Catmull come to realize there was even issues to be hashed out? He asked questions and listened to the feedback that he received. How did he resolve these issues? He made sure the lines of communication worked for their specific organization. People were given the okay to talk with folks they needed to talk with without being reprimanded. However, everyone was always expected to make sure all parties were kept informed. Genuine relationships are built on trust and respect, and strong leaders create a culture that embraces this truth. 5 years after their formation, the founders of Pixar were willing to do whatever it took to have their dream realized. They were at the cusp of realizing their dream of creating the first full-length computer-animated feature film. The importance of collaboration was realized at this time, and their work effort was tremendous. The team was talented and ambitious and willing to do whatever it took. They weren't standalone heroes in this effort. They worked as a team. Was it stressful? Absolutely. But they stuck to their guns and did not lose sight of the end goal. And they learned an important lesson: to trust their instincts and hold true to their ideals. After their initial goal had been achieved, Catmull fully realized his new mission was to ensure the ongoing success they had finally realized. This would come from reflecting and assessing how they got to that point and build a sustainable creative culture. Chapter 5 articulates how a culture of honesty and candor contributes to the success of Pixar and introduces Brain Trust, Pixar's solution group. When honesty is blended with trust and mutual respect, problem solving has the potential to become immensely effective. Catmull shares that in the very early days of Pixar, John, Andrew, Pete, Lee, and Joe made a promise to one another. No matter what, they would always tell each other the truth. They did this because they recognized how important and rare candid feedback is. A key focus of Chapter 5 discusses Brain Trust, a solution group that developed organically over time to provide a place for candid discussion of peers intended to support the project's directors and decision makers. As I read through Chapter 5, my thoughts continue to grab a hold of one word: community. A strong community is built on trust, and everything that is articulated in this chapter is steeped in trust and candor. A hallmark of a healthy creative culture is that its people feel free to share ideas, opinions, and criticisms. Catmull believes the best approach to reaching this culture is by promoting candor, and one of Pixar's key mechanisms is Brain Trust, relied upon to propel the organization toward excellence and root out mediocrity. Brain Trust's premise is to put smart, passionate people in a room together and charge them with identifying and solving problems together, and encourage them to be candid. The arguments get heated at times, but the focus is always about the project. Pixar has worked to create an environment where people want to receive feedback, even when the information may be tough to hear. Everyone has a vested interest in one another's success. Brain Trust has two defining elements. First, it's made up of people with a deep understanding of storytelling, and usually people who are very familiar with the process. And second, Brain Trust has no authority. The director does not have to follow the recommendations generated by the group. All discussion is for information only, and the directors have the final say. And now for the discussion question. How could the implementation of a solution group benefit an organization you are affiliated with? And what key elements would it entail to bring value to its stakeholders? Thank you very much for watching my presentation. I hope it has deepened your understanding of this week's reading from Creativity, Inc.